Hello, podcasters, and welcome to another episode of the Deep Time Podcast. Today, I am joined by Armin.
Hello! You probably didn't recognize me because of the red arm.
What?
All right.
And Cal as well.
Hey. Hello.
So yeah, we got the whole gang together, which happens way too rarely for the size of this whole gang. But whatever the case, we're here, and I know we're generally a very regular podcast, but you might still be thinking for some reason, oh, I'm kind of surprised they uploaded today. Yeah, there's been a paper that has dropped that I'm pretty sure you must have heard of by this point. And that is... The fuck's the name of this paper, first of all? Do you want me to read out the entire name of this paper? The paper's title is The Tyrant Lizard King, Queen, and Emperor. Multiple lines of morphological and stratigraphic evidence support subtle evolution and probable speciation within the North American genus Tyrannosaurus. There's 3 fucking Tyrannosaurus species now, according to everyone's favorite Gregory S. Paul.
Hey!
A paper...
Long time no see.
Yeah.
The only person more actively posting than we are.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a paper that's, to put you in context, a paper so bad Phil Curry dropped out of it because he didn't want his name attached to it. This is not great.
Not a good sign at all, no.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this is literally an idea that's been floating around since the 90s, and Gregory S. Paul has just been latching onto it. And I don't mean this in like a critical sense. I mean literally, Gregory S. Paul has routinely published his support for this. A publication note is that this is generally published in books. One example being the 2010 Princeton Field Guide to Dinosaurs, in which Gregory S. Paul proposes T-Rex, as we commonly know it, is actually multiple different taxa. Gregory S. Paul also subscribes to a variant of the Peter Larson hypothesis, which is that there is a robust and gracile morph of Tyrannosaurus in what could be termed bimodal distribution, where you have 2 distinct clusters of specimens. This also has been going around since the 80s, or 90s at least, as an idea. It is repeatedly proposed and debunked, goes back and forth. Most recently, an SVP presentation argued that there was, in fact, bimodal distribution. This supports it. Thomas Carr in 2020 found that no, there is no bimodal distribution. But that is the least important part of this paper. The most important part is that Gregory S. Paul, along with Scott Persons and Jay Van Raalte, not only mention these morphs, but actually finally enter into published academia the names of these morphs. And that they are actually finally fucking properly named as Tyrannosaurus rex, obviously, Tyrannosaurus imperator, and Tyrannosaurus regina.
Very creative naming scheme.
Yeah.
The Emperor, the Tyrant Lizard Emperor, and the Tyrant Lizard Queen.
Yeah. There is actually a section in the supplementary materials which goes into why this is the case. I just realized I don't have the supplementary materials downloaded right now. But basically, Armin will improvise while I find the paper. Armin, go ahead.
Well, you see, when...
Have either of you two actually read the paper? I'm going to be honest, it was a struggle for me to read the paper.
I cracked it open, read a little bit, and kind of gave up. But
Yeah, it's not.
I went like the automorphy section. And I was like, all right, I'm done.
I'm gonna post one of the diagrams from the paper. I think I'll do that because it is the best ordered diagram, and I mean this with every inch of sarcasm. In terms of read like in any order, left to right, top to bottom. Please just read. I don't know how we resize. I've forgotten. Help.
I was looking at Discord, for God's sake.
That sounds like
Yeah, so
a you fucking problem.
Okay, yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, you see, it's very... See, it's very convenient because you see, you start with A over A over here,
BAEDCF.
and then you got C down here, and D, and E, and F. You know, like how every normal person reads. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F. That's a normal readings. You know, not left to right or up and down or even right to left.
Not even fucking
or...
clockwise.
It's just randomly assorted, I guess.
I'm guessing, given Gregorius Paul's background as having made these skeletals and being an artist, I'm guessing they were organized to like be maximal space, so you can see obviously the ones at the right are the ones that have the less tail, because that way, you know, it automatically crops off the tail for you, so it fits better in a rectangle. But then just don't label them like that, because the labeling still follows like Rex, Regina, Imperator. Inserte sedis. But yeah, while we're on the names,
bizarre choice.
the reason for
So
a lot of people have noted that the names are a bit weird because you have Rex and Regina and then Imperator, and a lot of people have said, you know, oh, will this lead to discussions of, you know, what the hierarchy of the names is? Don't worry, the paper actually has that covered for you. But in the supplemental, they mentioned that obviously in keeping with the tradition established by Osborne, who in his initial description named both Tyrannosaurus rex and Dynamasaurus imperiosus, the latter lumped into Tyrannosaurus rex by Osborne at a later date, the new species names share an association with high royalty. The idea with the split is that the Tyrannosaurus imperator refers to the first appearance of the genus Tyrannosaurus, which then branched out into Tyrannosaurus rex and Tyrannosaurus regina, which were coeval, as in they lived at the same place and time. So, and I guess also slightly more robust by like a fraction, like tinily. So the idea is that while the stout quote-unquote tyrant emperor alone dominated low in the TT zone, the last few 100,000 years of the Mesozoic of Western North America was co-ruled by the co-equals of marginally lesser royal stature. Which I love. I'm sorry, that is a description.
I low-key love it. It's so dumb that I just can't help but love it.
Yeah. So yeah, you have the Tyrant King and the robust Tyrant King and gracile Tyrant Queen. The gender factor of these names is not indicative of the actual gender condition of the specimens. One thing of note is that Sue is not, in fact, in the Tyrannosaurus regina, even though Tyrannosaurus regina was first mentioned in a book by, I believe, a paleontologist, was mentioned in a book as a proposal for specifically Sue as a distinct taxon. Instead, Sue is in
Imperiosus, I think.
Imperator. Don't confuse with Imperiosus, that's Dynamasaurus. How dare you make that, you know? There's such different names. But yeah, also I love how the stratigraphy is concluded by mentioning that the Tyrannosaurus rex and Tyrannosaurus regina lived prior to the terminal KPG crisis. Because a crisis...
I'm glad we established that, yeah.
And I've never heard the extinction event be called a crisis before. Like, that reeks of, oh no, the economy.
On the trout population.
Yeah.
This will be bad for the trout population.
But like, why even mention it specifically? Because I don't think anyone would have assumed they were talking about Paleocene Tyrannosaurs.
Yeah.
That's a thought.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's the reason
really, when you get down to it, isn't just latest Maastrichtian marital dispute where they split up the continent, the kingdom, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, you could go with that. Alternatively, it's like it's reverse Transformers, where like they just split apart into lesser royal stature.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair enough.
I've heard of divide and conquer, but this is ridiculous.
Damn it.
Oh. But yeah, so now as to how exactly the authors propose these to be distinct taxa, it's not great.
Could you put on the picture? I think I can
Yes.
illustrate.
Fuck. Which yeah, one, yeah,
It's wrong one. There's only 4 layers, dude.
I'm on the. I'm moving it.
Make a new layer.
You can just hide the layer.
Oh, yeah, fine. I don't know why the delete key wasn't working.
So here's the difference between different taxa.
And don't forget the extra tooth in
Yeah,
Porosis.
Imperator.
Imperator.
There you go.
Oops.
That's the difference.
Yeah. I would post the actual figure, but it's really not that different.
It's exactly the same except not red.
Yeah, the only difference is that like the figure one has the bones being different in absolute size, but proportions, which is their point, don't really differ that much, not beyond individual variation. But yeah, so it's the robustness of the femur that is cited as one. They do a log chart, like a chart of like this is the plot, these are all our specimens. That's just wrong. Like it just does not show a bimodal split. Like I already mentioned, it does not show a cluster of 2 specimens, because normally what we would see is that you'd have 2 distinct clumps, and now whereas yeah, it's very much more so like that. You see them all along a line. I love recreating graphs and Aggie.io. That has real like source just trust me bro energy, and I'm all here for it.
Trust us, guys. This is exactly what it looks like. Trust.
But yeah, and also there's like one tooth is slightly different. The second tooth
Yeah.
slightly differs in some of them.
I think it's like some have 1 tooth more.
No, it's the size. It's that the,
Oh,
the second tooth is in sizoform instead of thick banana, to use the technical term.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it is actually quite different in absolute size. It's just it looks like it's not. Okay, for this one, I will actually show a diagram because this is, in fact, the only actual drawing of a fossil remain that's not just a femur silhouette. Again, there's no actual specimen pictures in this. So, what you did there is a drawing of a specimen, Armin.
yes, it's boom.
This
Yeah,
is
there is
yeah.
a size difference.
It's that second tooth there on the right. Basically just becomes this one on the right with this tiny dinky one in Imperator. Which distinguishes Rex and Regina, the latter, B in this case, from Imperator. But this is just, it could just be individual variation. Our sample size is very small. And
Not to mention that this wouldn't be the first time people justify Tyrannosaurus species with teeth.
Yeah.
Except, no offense, even Nanotyrannos had a better basis than that.
Yeah. There's also some stratigraphy stuff in terms of like when they lived. Obviously, that is mainly what's argued to separate Team Periosus and the subsequent 2 species, but we really don't have that good an idea of the stratigraphy. There was a live talk with Holtz and Hone on a podcast in which Holtz pointed out that if you compare this to the case of Triceratops and Torosaurus, there has been a lot more effort put into actually doing the stratigraphy of Hell Creek with regards to herbivorous dinosaurs. We don't really have that, and we definitely don't have that done in this paper. So
Two things to note here. First of all, if you want an actual good explanation of the whole issue, watch that podcast.
Yeah, we'll link their podcast in the description. Fine.
Secondly, Torosaurus got a new paper as well. Since you
Yes,
brought it up.
I was gonna circle around to that eventually. Torosaurus got a new paper, a new specimen, and it's an immature Torosaurus specimen, so it's actually an addition to the data set that does actually bring something new to the debate.
Oh, that's from Canada.
Yes, it's northern ones, and yeah, it's sweet. It's a thrill, and there's stratigraphy and histology and all the stuff this paper very much does not bother to have.
Just
Yeah,
I have seen some weak justifications to have species. This one might be the weakest.
yeah. They
like
go ahead.
as people, plenty of people have said, the idea of multiple T-Rex Tyrannosaurus species isn't that wild. Like Gabriel
No.
Agueto mentioned it. Naish, I'm sure, mentioned it. There is that one we are still waiting for. Sergey,
Yeah.
2019, you teased us. Nothing. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea itself isn't wild. It's just they really don't put in the legwork to actually justify it.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, we split Stegosaurus. It's the new genus. I don't know, Parrotsaurus. I don't know. I can't come up with shit on the spot. Like
No.
the only reason they give for the split is, I don't know. It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So it's just,
And they even acknowledge in the supplementary that, which of course no one ever reads, so thank you for putting that information there. The news article surely appreciated that. But they mention that it is possible for the two, like Tyrannosaurus rex and Tyrannosaurus vagina, to just be like sexual dimorphism or some other dimorphic cause, or even just random. But they then go on to say, we clearly find two morphotypes. That in itself is debatable. They don't give good evidence for that. But even if that's the case, they address the fact that, maybe you shouldn't be naming two morphotypes based on a single tooth. They do address it. And they mention that the advantage of naming extra species is that those who favor one possibility over the other have sufficient names on hand to do what they prefer when it comes to the differing morphotypes. That's not... Like, I know it's good for ease of communication, and taxonomy is all about ease of communication, but with a study as preliminary as this, you're just creating a headache for people who want to try and address this in future. You could have left it at morphotype. Morph A and Morph B is commonly used to describe the existing bimodal differences in T-Rex in dimorphism. You could have stuck with that.
yeah, it's just, it really wasn't needed to make them official species.
Yeah.
So it feels premature, way too premature, without really feeling like it was justified to begin with. Because again, the differences are so minor, which is ironic because like we have moments with like for example Repair Venator, like no, yes, they are fragmentary as hell, but they are clearly distinct because we have a good insight into very specific anatomy, like the brain
Yeah.
case. With this was just the ratio between the femur length to width is just slightly off, which could have a billion different factors. The femur is not as complex as the bloody brain case.
Yeah.
Could be stunted growth, could be sexual dimorphism, regional dimorphism, any other kind of environmental impact. And yes, maybe they were on the way of separating into chronospecies. That's quite possible. We have some very well-established chronospecies out there, Metaxotherium, for example. we have a pretty good idea how one species morphed into another through the entire Miocene, but when it's such a narrow time frame with so little changes, it's just way too premature to say.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is just more so a headache than a help in most ways. Like, this could have been I would have said this could have just been a few pages. The paper already is just a few pages. But it could have just been a few pages in which you outline the findings. That would probably help your paper not get rejected twice while pending acceptance. Wouldn't have one of your researchers walk off. It's
I'm honestly, I'm genuinely surprised how this passed peer review, given
Yeah.
both just the lacking distinguishing features they have, and just how the fuck did that one figure pass peer review? Like, how do you how do you not see that this figure is unreadable? Do reviewers actually look at figures like wrong scale bars, nonsense like this? Please check figures for the love of God. I'm so tired of scale bars literally being there just like a big middle finger. Why include them if they are always wrong? I'm sure all researchers have the best intention. I don't want
Yeah.
to blame
Yeah.
people for it and everything, but like, you have to acknowledge when a paper just isn't well researched. And like, don't take it from us. Don't take it from these three idiots who don't upload for 3 months and then spend half the time shitposting. Take it from Thomas Card, Tom Holt, Dave Hone, Darren Naish, all these prolific, well-known scientists who say, yeah, that's a pretty bad paper. That really doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just needs to be clarified because I've seen it way too often already the last 24 hours. Don't don't
Yes.
adapt those names. Don't use them. I see people go, oh, should I call Sue Imperator now?
Oh
I
God.
didn't mix them up this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no, have you actually looked at any response to the paper beyond the title? Because then you will know those names are practically worthless.
Even
So please don't use them.
even the news articles, every paleontologist they've interviewed has disagreed. Which is like
New
the
York
ones.
Times, National Geo, they all have big section about, yeah, we don't think that's good.
Yeah.
Like, you know it's bad when even the news articles side against you when you are like, oh, there's too much T-Rex species.
Yeah.
Even media's like, I don't know about that.
Media will literally call like a basal crocodilomorph the ancestor of T-Rex. But even they call bullshit on this. Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more to be said. Like, the paper doesn't actually give us more to say other than.
The best thing to use against the paper is actually reading the paper.
Yeah.
Oh, do we want to address like the problems with like specimens and stuff?
Oh, yeah. A, a fair bunch. Which one? What's problems? The privately held bit or the.
I mean, take your poison.
Ah. There's not that many that are, to be fair. But, like, they do list a lot of Black Hills Institute specimens, which generally are quite accessible, except for, Stan, which got sold off and disappeared off the face of the earth, which is unfortunately quite mentioned. And it's another issue is, of course, a bunch of these specimens have already had names in published literature. Like, for instance, Albertosaurus megagracilis, also known as Dinotyrannus megagracilis, also known as Tyrannosaurus megagracilis, is a subadult tyrannosaur from the Hell Creek that has been assigned to Regina as a subadult specimen of that. It's not made the type, but still, like, this is a taxon that has already had a much published name.
Yeah.
Gregorius Paul attempts to address this by saying, oh, it's a subadult, so it's not diagnostic.
I assume they use the same reasoning for Tyrannosaurus lancensis.
Oh, no, because that's distinct.
That's the same.
Oh, yeah, Gregorius Paul thinks believes Nanotyrannus is valid. It's the nanomorphs are in Certe sedis, except for Dinotyrannus, which is a subadult Regina. There's all of the nanomorph specimens are removed. That's why there's no issue there.
Huh.
Because obviously you don't have femurs for most of them, or well, I mean, there's Jane, but no one's looking at Jane until the monograph comes out, so that's pointless.
Okay, now I just remember. I think Tom Holtz mentioning that during the talk earlier.
Oh yeah, no. That has been taken care of in that sense. That all the iconic sort of indeterminate specimens. What is interesting is that you do have some specimens. For example, I'm gonna circle back to the Sergei Krasovsky post. There have been indications that a new species of Tyrannosaurid will get described from New Mexico, yeah, north.
I think it was New Mexico. Yeah.
New Mexico from the McRae Formation, which may no longer be the McRae Formation, but whatever the case, there have been indications, and this is a specimen that has been Tyrannosaurus sp for a while. And what I find quite interesting is that both CAR 2020 and this paper have really struggled to place this as anything more than a tentative Tyrannosaurus. So if anything, a lot of these papers are indirectly highlighting how much work is left to be done.
This is so true.
The same, of course, goes for the Texan Tyrannosaurus specimen, for which I think we can reuse this.
Yeah. I need that one to come out.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. The Ojo Alamo specimens have not been addressed in either because the specimens for that are actually still not yet published properly, outside of occasional mentions. So they're less described, but it does a good job. They've inadvertently done jobs of highlighting how hard it is to pin stuff down. And I think this paper, especially though, has not advanced the situation as much as it tried to. Although I don't know if I can even say try to, because a lot more effort needed to have been put into this paper. Oh god, I sound like my teachers.
We were all hoping for the New Mexico one to come out.
Yes.
We got this instead.
Nobody expected this to come out, like this to be the
Yeah.
one, and everyone, I think, was disappointed.
Yeah, it was kind of hyped up as being controversial.
I
I'm
don't
not even
think.
sure if...
Yeah,
Can you even say it's controversial when everyone agrees it's bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
wouldn't-
It did cause some ripples, I suppose.
Yeah, but not.
Yeah.
Also, as a result of Stan being sold, in this paper, its specimen number is not referred to as BHI 3033. It's referred to throughout as XBHI 3033, which I find an interesting way to do the identification on that. So it's just XEX BHI 3033.
We're living in weird times.
Yeah. I mean, let me check 1 second. How many new taxa have we gone described this year, and how many of them are just Tyrannosaurus?
I mean, I wrote a list. I actually kept track of it more or less. I think like we had Aptitosaurus,
Yeah.
which is a titanosaur. I think Gramesia was bloody a Bellisaur
Yeah.
that nobody really cares about. We had the Barrospinus. That one was
Yeah.
cool. Ondogorel.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but like the Alvarezaurid. And we had the two
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Hadrosaur.
refuse to include the T-Rex species in the list, by the way. Just
Yeah.
saying. Calumapusaurus and Hualasaurus?
Yeah. Kilomapusora. For the first one.
Calumapusaura. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The two hadrosaurs from South
Yeah.
America.
But
All
yeah.
of which probably would have made better episodes than this one.
Yeah, a quarter of new taxa, dinosaur taxa described this year are just Tyrannosaurus. And neither one of them is probably gonna last long. So we'll see if we see out the year where these taxa still haven't been described this year. So to speak.
Crossing my thumbs for our New Mexico boy.
How the fuck are you crossing your thumbs?
I might have got my figures of speech mixed up.
It's fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Sorry, okay?
Thumbs crossed, you know.
Damn it.
Yeah,
This is fucking Spang and Fear all over again.
Yeah, and on that particularly poetic note, I think we shall end this episode because we don't have. We'll just be, we'll be skinning a dead horse if we keep going with this.
Oh god.
So yeah. Before flogging two birds with one dead cat, I will call it for tonight. Thank you all for listening. We will see you maybe in the next one. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
The end of time, probably.
Yeah.
When they describe Digital Mastosaurus.
When they describe that fucking next Tyrannosaurus species. Oh.
Yeah.
That'll really shake up our schedule, guys.
Yeah. God,
Things that have not aged well.
But yeah. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you around. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.